Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Chances are, no matter where you live, you have probably spotted a stray cat wandering around outside. Most of the time, they do just fine by themselves, but sometimes they need a little help from their human friends. 18-year-old Hamdan Shibli was on his usual route to work in Israel when things took a strange turn. On the dirt road sat three tiny kittens, huddled together and terrified. After looking around to see if their mother was anywhere nearby, he decided to move them off the road. But shortly after moving the kittens to a patch of roadside bushes, Hamdan realized that these weren't just any kittens. A closer look then revealed they were something truly special. When Hamdan Shibli found a pair of kittens on a dirt road in Israel, their mother was nowhere in sight. If he left the kittens where they were, Hamdan was sure they wouldn't stand a fighting chance. He had no choice but to move them off the road. Hamdan decided to place them carefully in some bushes until their mother came back. There, he discovered a third kitten. At first he considered bringing them home, but then he realized that the mother might have just left them to go and hunt for some food. However, Hamdan was in for a seriously major shock. Instead of moving them far away, he simply decided to place them off the road, in a nearby bush. Afterward, he posted his pictures of the kittens online and was informed that they weren't any ordinary kittens. They were actually jungle cats, a large wild cat native to Asia. Quick research told Hamdan that the kittens were in a much more dangerous position than he had initially thought. Right away, he rushed back to where he'd left them and found them in the same spot. They were weak, and their mother still hadn't returned. They appeared to be in very bad shape and their fur was covered in ticks, so he placed them in a basket and took them to find help. He knew he would need to act quickly if he was going to help save these poor jungle cats. Hamdan took both of the kittens to the nearest emergency animal clinic that he could find. The doctors immediately got to work doing their best to save the kittens. Tragically, one of the kittens didn't make it. The others fought on. Still, losing the one kitten was tough, and Hamdan couldn't help but beat himself up over it. The doctors and the nursing staff at the emergency clinic assured him that there was little he could have done. One might be lost, but there was still hope for the other two. Thankfully, the animal clinic where Hamdan happened to bring the kittens didn't just specialize in treating the average house cat or pet dog. They were a clinic that specialized in the care of wild animals. The jungle cat kittens were in good hands. Very quickly, Hamdan and the medical team on staff began to learn all they could about their two new very special feline charges. The two kittens were both male and no more than 5 weeks old. They were so young to be left on their own. Both of the kittens were starving and were extremely dehydrated. This was a sorry state of affairs, but it was also one that the medical team knew they could treat. The kittens were given fluids and vitamins, along with a milk substitute. The challenge was to get their weight up and still be able to reintroduce them to the wild when they were ready. Jungle cats are born to be wild and free creatures. The medical team wanted them to be happy and healthy, but they didn't want to put a damper on their wild spirits. The kittens were kept on their special liquid diet and the results were good. They started to gain weight, and as they did they began to grow. Eventually, they were able to eat solid food. This was a critical step when it came to getting them ready to get back into the wild. Their prognosis was looking up. As they grew, it wasn't just their physical well-being that improved. The kittens' entire personalities began to change. They were no longer the fearful little creatures who had been rushed into the hospital. They were curious and friendly little kittens. Once they started eating solid food, it was like they just couldn't stop. These kittens were different from other felines who can be particular about the kind of food they enjoy. These two refused to pass on any grub that came their way. They sure liked eating. These jungle cats, like all felines, are obligate carnivores, meaning that they live off a diet almost entirely made up of meat. Once these two transitioned away from milk, they couldn't get enough meat. Hopefully, they will be able to go back to their natural habitat in no time. The jungle cat species isn't at risk just yet, but there are reportedly only about 600 living in Israel. That's all the more reason that these jungle cat kittens need to be fully protected and released back out into the wild where they can continue to help their species grow. It's important that these little guys get back out to nature with a clean bill of health, and from the looks of it, they are more than well on their way. Any day now these plucky brothers will be ready to begin the process of reintroduction into the wild.